Why is the contract not signed but the fight announced? We see it a lot recently, kind of, that the UFC announces fights where at least one of the fighters hasn't even signed the contract and hasn't even really agreed to the deal. All the things about that in this video. Hello and welcome to Bloodsport MMA.
Yo, assalamu alaikum, my niggas, what's good?
The process should be pretty simple, right? The UFC offers person X to person Y and person Y to person X. Both parties, both fighters agree, verbally obviously, you send them the contract, they sign the contract, and then the fight is official.
Great success.
Because like with every deal, you normally do not announce it unless a contract is signed, because everything can still change last minute. Some people can change their minds, especially with big fights.
Big stuff like big steak, and I like big checks, big money. Let's go tonight.
Let's take a very famous example. Dustin Poirier against Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit Saint-Denis against Dustin Poirier got announced, and weeks later actually, Poirier came out and said, hey, I never signed no contract. I never agreed to fight that guy. Like, it was like, huh? What's going on? The fight has been announced for some time already.
Fake news. You guys do real journalism.
What's going on here? How do you mean you haven't agreed to that fight yet? It could be that Dustin Poirier verbally agreed to it, but somehow then when he got the contract wasn't happy with the amount he was getting for the fight or whatever, and then didn't sign. But as long as, that's why I say, as long as the contracts are not signed, why do you announce a fight? I don't understand it. And one option is that you could say, hey, it's a good pressure game that the UFC is playing by announcing the fight, even though you haven't signed the contract yet, announcing that you fight person XYZ. That puts pressure on you to sign the contract, because otherwise people will be like, because people will get excited by the fight, right? If you then don't sign the contract and are talking about, hey, why should I sign the contract, blah, 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 I haven't signed it. People will come at you and pressure you like, hey, are you afraid of that guy? You freaking with the this and that, like call you out for whatever, say you're not man enough, blah, 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 this and that. It puts pressure on you to sign the contract.
Oh my god, I'm fucking crying right now.
But on the other side, you could also say, yeah, but it also gives the fighter possibilities to negotiate, as we saw with the example I just mentioned, Dustin Poirier. As far as we know, he renegotiated the amount of money he gets for the fight after that whole thing with, hey, I haven't signed the contract. Because if the UFC puts a fight out, they want to deliver it. The worst thing for the UFC that can happen is they post, he fights him, a big fight, everyone gets hyped about it, but then 2 weeks later it's like, hey, no, the fight's not happening because one guy doesn't want to fight it.
I think it's disgusting. I think he's disgusting.
That's not good for the UFC. They don't want to hype people up for a fight that isn't happening. So on the other side, you could say, yeah, that gives the fighter more chances to negotiate, which would be bad for the UFC, because the fighter can then say, hey, you want that fight to happen? Show me the money, eh? Show me the money, eh?
Show me the money, huh? Show me the money.
You can make it a positive thing for the UFC, but also a negative thing for the UFC. And overall, I just don't understand it. You see with Paulo Costa now again. I mean, Sean Strickland came out and said, here's the thing, you guys. Paulo Costa, blah, blah, he didn't sign a contract, he's a coward, this and that. Like, Strickland doesn't just say that. That makes some sense. Paulo Costa is not famous for signing the contract too early. And I never understood it. Like, if you're gonna fight him and you already verbally agreed to it, that's now on the fighter side, why would you not just sign the contract? Why are you wait? Like you are in training camp, you're preparing for the fight, you verbally agree to it. Why aren't you signing the contract? I mean, Paulo Costa, for example, he doesn't get more money for the fight or something. He already has his contract that he renegotiated half a year ago or something. He's gonna get the amount he's gonna get. Like, why waiting on signing the contract? Why make it even more troublesome than it has to be? So I don't understand it on both sides, but especially on the UFC side, because the UFC is at the end of the day, is the big part in this game that is announcing this stuff. I just don't understand why you would announce fights that are not signed, sealed, and about to be delivered. You know what I mean? It's just, you are not helping anyone with it. We don't care if you announce it 3 weeks later or 3 weeks earlier. Would you rather have an announced fight that is 100% signed and will happen than having a big fight announcement early that at the end of the day then doesn't happen and leaves us hyped for nothing? You know what I mean? So I don't understand it. If you have any idea why they do that, what's going on there, Dana White, if you watch this, please write in the comments what you think about it. Like this video, guys. Subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate that. Check out the Bloodsport merch, bloodshop.net, link in the description. Check it out. We're have free shipping with the code FREE. Stay bloody, you guys. Until the next one. Bye-bye. Bloodsport out.